Hello and welcome back to episode 9 of the Deck Building Roguelike Tutorial Card Game series. Today we are working on spawning some characters onto our grid. We're just doing the basic framework here, so we're not really putting any rules into place to determine where they can be spawned and where they can't be spawned. We're just making sure that we can put them on the grid. Now, this time I did actually do this before I recorded. But I have a copy of the project before I did it, so we'll go back over it with that in just a moment. The reason why I did that is because I have a list of sprites in the description of this video that we need to import in here, and they did not import easily, and I knew they wouldn't import easily because I've handled it before. So, I will go over how to import them and get them into your game, but I'm not going to show each and every one of them. There's going to be some difficulty with them, and sometimes they're just not going to work when importing. Certain ones of them, they're going to have conflictions with GUIDs, and so yeah, with some unique identifiers and stuff like that. All that said, there or may not be some thing in the Discord that could make it easier for you to import these assets. If you join our Discord, there might be something in there that might make it easier. Let me show you what we'll end up with by the end of today's lesson. So you'll be able to drag our character up. You see now they have little character sprites on them. You'll be able to drag your card up and release it onto the grid. We'll have some grids, and some of them have animations fixed, some of them don't, and we'll go over that because that's probably going to be your homework, is fixing those animations. Alright, let's jump into it. So to import these packages, what you want to do first is you want to make a blank project. Okay, you want to make a blank project so you can import these things safely without impacting your other project. You'll want to do this every single time you're importing something that is not from the package manager from Unity, because you never know what those packages are going to have inside them. You never know what kind of settings they're going to want to change for you, so you want to do it in a separate window or in a separate project so you can look at it first, and then after looking at it you can decide whether or not you want to pull it into your other project or what parts of it you want to pull into your other project, things like that. So after you download those assets from CraftPix, they'll come in as zips. You'll want to unzip them, and then inside the folder structure, you'll find these Unity packages. Now, sometimes they'll be in the root. Other times, you'll have to go into the individual assets and you'll see them. But yeah, we're looking for these Unity packages. And so what you'll want to do is you'll want to go in here, you'll click and you'll drag it into your folder. And the first one that you do, again, make sure that this is on a new project. You want to click import. No, don't make any changes, don't uncheck anything, just click import. So what that's going to do is it's going to import all those sprites and assets into your thing. It's going to give you these warnings, whatever, you can clear them, they're not important right now. What it also does, it also imports these utilities here to kind of automatically create some animations for us. So you can see we've got this 01 prefab right here. If you click here, see it's got a bunch of animations hidden underneath it. This is from these scripts right here that run when it imports. So it's automatically making these animations for us. We can drag it into our scene and we see what it looks like. Right? Don't worry about the aspect ratio or anything. It's not important. This is just a blank project, remember? So I'm going to delete that. And so now that I'm settled with this and I like it, what I want to do is I want to right click, and I want to go to show and explore. Okay, and it's going to pop up everything in here, right? So I'm going to select all, also do Control A. All right, and then what you want to do is you'll want to go over to your main project here. You want to make a new folder. We're going to call this folder Character Sprites. Okay. We're going to go into the folder. I make a new folder, and I'm going to name this Wraith 1, because it's the first Wraith. Alright, and then I can come back over here, and I can drag and drop this into here. Okay? Now, one thing is that these prefabs have a little script on them that I want from the import as well. So in order to get those, you can go back to that same folder where we imported from, right here. You can drag it into your project, let go. Okay, you're going to uncheck, you're just going to click none because you want nothing else, okay? But we're going to go down here to this runtime, we'll click that box, and then we'll click import. Okay, and what that will do is it will import those scripts that are required in order for these prefabs to work properly. Now these prefabs are pretty cool, with the fact that they have like individual bones for the arms and hands and head and everything. So everything looks pretty, is kind of joined together. And it also has these really cool script for the eyes or the face, where it can have different face elements to go through inside of the animation. So if we drag this into our game right now, we should be able to hit play, and you'll see animating. Okay? So you're going to go through and do that for all of them. You're going to have some conflicts, like I said before, but if you want something super easy, there may or may not be an easy way to do it in our Discord. You can check it out there if you join the Discord. That's all I can really say about it. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, so the next thing we need to do is we need to make some changes to our card script. So we're going to go to our scripts folder, we're going to open up this card script. We're actually going to add a lot of new variables here. Okay. So the first thing that we want to do is I want to add some new options for our cards. And so our first one is going to be, after our damage type, I want to add in an attack type. We're just going to have a ranged and a melee. Okay. And you know what? Actually, I want to change this to range. And you know what? We don't even need this as an enumerator. We can just change this to an int. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to do public int range. Because we're just going to have that as a default value where that's how far away that they can attack. That makes a lot more sense than doing either melee or ranged. Because then we'd have a lot more variation there by how far away they can attack from, instead of just one or two, right? So next we want to kind of get in an attack pattern, which is going to be kind of like the area that they can attack during one turn. This is not the range, but kind of like a splash zone, an area of effect, basically. Okay, and so we have a few options here. We have single, which is a single target. Multi, which is like multi-individual targets. Cross, which is going to be, you know, 3 by 3 cross, basically. Column, which is going to be an entire column. Row, which would be an entire row. 2 by 2, which is 2 by 2 square. 4 by 4, 4 by 4 square. Okay, and then our next variable they want to add in here is our priority target, which is going to tell our turn maker, or turn tracker, when these characters are going to have their attacks done, what target do they want to prioritize. So we've got a lot of options here. We've got close, far, least current health, most current health, max health, and most damage. So this will determine what enemies our characters will prioritize when attacking. Well, now we need to add these to our card. So we go up here, we go to public attack pattern, public priority target. Pretty simple, right? Now we do actually need to add one additional thing in here, and I want to put this up here underneath our damage type. So this is going to be public game object prefab. Okay, then we can save that. And then now we can go into our resources folder after we compile. We can go into one of our cards. Let's go with this Eros one right here. You can see now we have our new fields. This one's actually missing the card names. Let me just go fill that in. Prefab, range, attack pattern, yada yada yada. So for this one, oh, and also card sprite. So for this one, I'm going to do, I'm going to go to our assets. I'm going to look at all our prefabs. And this is both in the air and earth. So I'm going to click on this one. I like the way this one looks. Okay, and then I also want to get a sprite. And so I want to get the same sprite for our prefab. So I'm going to go over here. And this is just the first idle sprite from the import for the sprites we downloaded. This is that very first idle sprite. So we want to use that for our picture for the cards. Okay, so let me go back to that arrows right there. I'm going to click on this. It'll jump to the same folder as the prefab. And then I can drag this sprite into here. Okay. And then I want to make sure that we're actually setting that sprite. So we need to hop inside of our card display script. So after making those changes to the card asset, what we want to do is we want to add a section into our card display script to hold our display image. Okay. And then we want to go down to our update card display and we want to add display image dot sprite equals card data dot card sprite. And then we'll go inside of our card prefab. Okay. And then it should be the last image on here. It might say image or display image depending on what you have. And we're going to drag that into our display image field inside the inspector. Okay, but this might not always update correctly because of when we are calling our update card display function, which is right at the start. So we need to jump into our scripts again. We're going to open up our hand manager. And inside of our hand manager, when we are adding a card, you want to go ahead and update that card display after we have assigned the card data. So what we want to do is we're going to go in here, we're going to copy this, and we're going to add dot update card display parentheses semicolon. Now make sure that the card display gets updated after the card data is added. That means we can go back here to our start method, and we can actually delete it completely because we don't need it right now. After saving that, we can go back into our game. We can hit play. And you can see that we now have our little image set for this guy here. Okay. You can see these other ones just have white boxes because they're not actually being set yet. So I'm going to spend some time. I'm going to go through and I'm going to set all of those resources, the card resources up. I'll do that real quick and then I'll jump back in. Okay, so I've gone ahead and I've updated all those cards. Gonna hit play. And then now you'll see here that I've got images for each one of our cards. I can go to our deck manager. I can tell it to draw some cards. You can see I've got it set for all of them. Now you can set these however you want. It doesn't have to be the same as mine. Just pick some from the sprites that we've included and find one that you like. Okay, now let's move on to actually adding these characters to the grid. If you'll remember, inside of our grid manager script, we actually added a method in here already that allows us to add objects to our grid. So all we need to do is figure out where we want to add our object and tell it what object to add. Now, we are already deciding what object we want to add in our card asset. Remember, we're assigning that prefab in the card asset. So what we need to do next is we need to go ahead and jump inside of our card movement script, which we will use this to actually spawn those prefabs in. So inside of our card movement script, we want to go ahead, we're going to set up a new variable. We're going to call this private grid manager. Okay, and then we want to go down to our awake method, and we just want to go ahead and assign our grid manager. So we'll do grid manager equals find object of type grid manager. All right, now we're going to go down into our update method, and inside of our case 3, since we want to do some other stuff when we're releasing the mouse button, we're going to go ahead and delete this section, because we no longer need that for case 3. Okay, so what we want to do next, because remember this is whenever the card is in that play state, when we have the arrow activated and we release on the grid, we want to place this character into that grid cell. So we're going to go down into our handle play state, and we're just going to add a few more things into here. And we're going to do this all before this little if section right here. So the first thing we want to do is we're going to check and see if our mouse button is released. So if we do not detect the input of the mouse button, then what we want to do is we'll going to cast a ray, and we're going to define that ray as a variable. So ray, so this is ray casting, okay? Camera.main, we're getting our first camera, our main camera. Screen point to ray is a function. And then input mouse position, so we're getting the position of our mouse. And then raycast2d hit, so we're getting the object that we're hitting. Physics2d.raycast, another function. Ray.origin, remember we're setting our array here. And ray.direction. So we're basically casting a ray directly down from our mouse and getting whatever it is that we're hitting. Okay, so now we need to figure out what it is that we're hitting. Now, if our hit.collider does not equal null, meaning whatever we hit has a collider, and hit.collider getComponent.gridCell, so we're checking to see if it has a grid cell component. So this is how we're checking to make sure we're hitting a grid cell, not something else. So inside here, we want to go ahead and define our grid cell. So grid cell equals hit.collider getComponent grid cell. Then vector2 target position, so we're going to store our target position, and that's going to be cell.gridIndex. Okay, so next we need to have another check to where if Grid Manager, add object to grid, component, grid, get components, card display, card data, .prefab, and then target position. So remember, our little add object to grid method is a bool. That means it's either going to return true or we're going to turn false. So what we're checking is we're checking if we can put our prefab into this cell, which is our target position. And if we are able to do that, then we need to do a few things. If we are able to spawn our prefab, first thing we need to do is we need to first grab our hand manager, and then we need to remove this card from our cards in hand array. Then we need to update our hand visuals for our hand manager. Oh, right now it's saying that we can't access this method, which is true. So we need to go into our hand manager in our update hand visuals. Let's go ahead and change this to public. And we'll save that one. Back over in our card movement, we're just going to add a little debug log to make sure it's happening. And then after it's happening, let's go ahead and destroy our card. So destroy.gameObject. GameObject is going to get the game object that this script is attached to. Okay, and then we want to transition back to 0 if we're not able to do any of this. So that means that if we are not hitting a collider, okay, that is a grid cell, and if we cannot spawn our card, then what we want to do is we want to go to transition to state 0. So just make sure that we go back inside of our 0 state and reset the position of our card. Okay, let's go ahead and save that and then jump back into our game. So we're back in our game. Let's go ahead and hit play. And first I want to make sure that we can transition back to 0. Oh, did not mean to do that, sorry. And yeah, it looks like we are able to transition back to 0 just fine. Okay, now I want to make sure that we can actually drop into one of these cells. And it looks like we are. Looks like we might need to adjust our play position some because of where our grid's at. That's fine, we can figure that out. And yeah, so now we've got characters on the grid. Okay, so your homework for this session is actually going to be pretty simple, but it's going to be time consuming. So you can see how some of these characters are not moving. You know, their animations aren't set up correctly. So what I want you to do is I want you to go to the animators for each one of these guys. And I want you to double check that the entry animation, so we can actually delete this base. And it should automatically pop down to idle. If not, you'll have to make a new entry one and throw in idle. Okay, so make sure you do that for all of the animators, or animation controllers. Make sure that they're all set to where idle is our first animation. Alright, I will see you next time. Please like and subscribe if you liked.